I believe this film is absolutely disturbing on so many levels, and I think you should stick around to find out why. The film that is in question today is the film by the name of The Platform. The Platform is a 2019 Spanish dystopian thriller directed by Galda Gaztelu Urrutia. I've butchered that massively, but it's also known as El Hoyo, which is the hole in Spanish. So if you're a Spanish viewer, El Hoyo is the name of the film. But if you are anywhere else that is English speaking, it will be known as The Platform. Now, you may have seen this film on adverts. You may have seen the second film being promoted, but the first film is a film that I've been wanting to watch for a little while now, and I've managed to find it, and it was on Netflix, so I decided to watch it last night. If you haven't watched it, or if you don't have any idea what this film is about, I'll give you a little description. The film is set in a large industrial tower named the Vertical Self-Management Center. Residents of the tower are placed inside because of the crimes they've previously committed. Every month, prisoners switch between the tower's many floors and are fed by a vertically moving platform with food on it. The platform is initially filled with food and gradually descends through the tower's levels, stopping for a fixed amount of time on each floor. Since the residents of each floor tend to eat as much as food as they can, those on the lower floors are able to eat much less compared to those at the top, leading to conflict. Now, you can imagine the premise of the film being quite a unique one, because I've personally never seen a film like it, and I was very excited to watch it, purely on the basis that it is a very unique take on the horror kind of thriller genre. It's definitely something that I've not seen before, and I think that's one reason why I was so attracted to watching it, and it's been on the back of my mind ever since I've kind of seen the preview either on TikTok or being promoted out there, and it's something that's kind of stuck with me, the idea of a moving platform going down to different levels, and it stuck with me, and I think watching it and having an opinion on it now, I think it's definitely something to watch, and it's definitely something that I enjoyed watching. But we're going to dive into it a little bit deeper and give you a bit more of an opinion on certain aspects of the film, or certain takes on the film and opinions that I have regarding it. So the plot and the concept is something that I truly did like. I really enjoyed the plot. I really enjoyed the concept. As I mentioned before, like the idea of a platform going down to each level and having the food on it, it just shows how greedy people can be in certain situations, and how kind of people tend to fight for themselves in a situation like that, which naturally you're going to. If I was in that situation, I'm sure I would, and I'm sure you would too. But watching it firsthand in a movie, it really does kind of come across as even more kind of engrossing, in the sense of you really want to keep watching just to see how crazy these people get. But the idea of the kind of the prison, rather than being like a standard prison like you would get in the UK where you've got your own cells, the fact it's a vertical prison adds a whole new dynamic to the prison kind of style system that we have in other countries, and even my own. And as I say, it does add a unique take on that. And I really think the way it kind of shows the hierarchy system, literally, so well, using food as almost like a toy to play with, in the sense, because the people at the top are going to get so much food and the people down the bottom aren't going to get anything, realistically. And I think having that kind of hierarchy and selfishness and inequality and resource management and things like that, it's incredible. And I'm going to try my best not to spoil anything, because I feel like you should watch it, but there's definitely points in the film where you just feel really sorry for certain people, and you kind of, the plot twists and stuff like that really add to it as well. As I briefly mentioned earlier about the kind of hierarchy system, that's a really kind of key point in the film, and it's kind of obvious with the concept of the film of if you're at the ones at the top, you're clearly going to get the free choice of food and eat as much as you want, and the people down the bottom are going to get the scraps, if anything. And I think the way that they show this in the film, I think is dynamic, and I think really something that has been portrayed really, really well. I really do. It shows that people of the higher class can be so selfish to the ones below. Like, even if you do try and, I don't know, like share the food with other people, there's always going to be people below you that are not going to stick with that, and they're going to be like, "F you, I'm taking as much food as I want," and there's no control of that. And I think it kind of shows the hierarchy system and selfishness people can have, not just in the movie but in real life as well. And I think that does create that kind of that tension between people and real life, and I think it's really really interesting. It's a really interesting concept, isn't it? But it does also kind of make you think about the kind of moral dilemmas that you have in life as well. So if you were in the situation, what would you do? Would you, I don't know, let's say this platform's arrived on your level and there's lots of food there. Would you consider the people below you, or would you just think about yourself? Or would you consider about your roommate, or would you just think about yourself? And what if you were on those lower levels? What would you do? You know, like, would you commit a crime to keep yourself alive? It's an interesting concept, as I say, and it's a question that it's a film that makes you question kind of these decisions, because do you feel sorry for the main character? Do you feel sorry for the side characters? Would you put yourself in that situation? That's what the film makes you think, and I think something like that. And if a film makes you do that, it's doing a good job. But in terms of the direction and the kind of visual aspect, I think the way they do certain things in the film, I think really the kind of set the tone. I guess is the best way to describe it. So there's definitely like within the film, there's different kind of scenarios. So you've got your kind of dull kind of grey colours, which is obviously the prison, but then you've got a lot of red in the film. So obviously red naturally means bad, or the use of light and colour effectively highlights the despair and horror of the setting, which is exactly how I should have described it in the first place. But it's very gritty and it's very raw, and I think that kind of, if it was very over saturated or very overdone, I think it would ruin the film. And I kind of like that. I like that. I like the grittiness. I like the rawness of the cinematography, and I think it really does drive. It drives the aspect of being in a prison with nothing there, and I like that a lot. In terms of performance, I think the main character, Goreng, he, for me, did a great job of portraying his character. So, what's his name? Ivan Mazage. Ivan Mazage. I think he does a great job of being Goreng. I think the way his character develops throughout is quite great. So you see him coming in as a normal human, and by the end of it, you can tell he's a different man. He's had to have a lot of sacrifices, and he's had to face a lot of difficulties and challenges throughout the movie. And I think the contrast in character from the start to finish really does show. And I think when you watch the film, you'll understand that as well, because if you were in his shoes, you would also go through the same traumatic experiences that he's had to go through. And it's really interesting. It really, really is. And as I say, the concept of the film, it's great, and I think having a concept like that really does show the difficulties of personal kind of life in that situation, and that I think the actor does really well to kind of make you feel for the moral decisions that he has to make, and kind of his desperation to be in that prison or be out of that prison. And I think it's really truly done well by the actor. In terms of like the structure and the pacing of the film, I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was too fast, too slow. I thought it was okay. I don't really have too many judgments on that. The only kind of thing I thought was that it does kind of lose a little bit of momentum down the middle of the film. I think it starts off really well, and I think like when it gets to the middle, it kind of just goes a little bit. It does pick up every now and then. Like the start of the film's great, and then it kind of goes dips, and then like a little bit of a roller coaster. And that's basically how I can describe the pacing of the film, to be honest. I do apologize that this has not been very rehearsed. I'm literally just winging it. I really wanted to kind of have this raw kind of opinion and just go from there. But in terms of the strengths of the film, I think it does really well of creating a unique, fresh take on the dystopian genre, combining the kind of horror aspects of the thriller genre, and also being able to display, as I say, about the morals and the tension and the selfishness and the kind of disparity between people. I think it does that really well. And like another strength is how thought provoking it is, and I guess that's also the same with the first point. It really is very thought provoking, and it does really make you think during the film. And I think some of the weaknesses is, I think, a little bit of the backstory side of things for the side characters. I think you don't really care for them too much, because you don't really get a lot of backstory. Sorry, there's something in my eye and it's driving me insane. You don't get a lot of backstory with the characters. Yeah, they give you a little bit of hint of information about them while you kind of Goreng's having a chat to them, but there's no real kind of, I guess, care for them. Like, you care a little bit for the main character because you obviously taken a lot of the time to get to know him and understand his character, but the side characters, you don't really care anything, especially the ones on the other levels. if they're on his level, you do care for them a little bit, but I don't think that they delved deep enough into the structure of the place. Why is this a thing? Like, there's a little bit, but I don't think there was enough. And I also did feel like the ending was a bit naff. I didn't like the ending. When I finished it, I was like, oh, is that it? Like that's how I felt. Like I felt like there should have been more. There should have been a lot more, especially in that last kind of 10-15 minutes. It had this really big build up and doesn't end, in my opinion, it doesn't live up to it. It doesn't give you anything, and it's probably being very ambiguous and trying to get you to go, oh, okay, this is what happens, but it's not like Through the Never, Metallica's Through the Never. If you've not seen it, the way that ends is very ambiguous. It's literally a film that makes you kind of, what's going to happen next, and you've got all these other TV shows, like even like the Squid Game season 2. It's got an open ending. Like, create something. Give me something that I'm gonna go, okay, if there's gonna be a sequel, which there is, I've not watched it yet. What am I expecting next? This film didn't do that. It just ended so abruptly, and it's meant to be ambiguous, but it doesn't have that ambiguous to draw you back in for a second time. Like, I probably will watch the second one, but why should I watch the second one if you're not going to leave me on a proper cliffhanger? It didn't make sense. But overall, I did enjoy the film. Besides the ending, besides a little bit of the pacing towards kind of halfway to the end, and besides that, I really did enjoy it. As I say, it's a very unique take on a film that I've not seen before. It's not something I'm kind of used to. I'm not used to a vertical. I'm not used to films that have vertical prisons, and with this concept, anyways. But if you're interested in a horror film or a thriller that's kind of something different, I'd recommend it. Obviously, if you can speak Spanish, absolutely listen to it in Spanish, or if you can deal with Spanish with English subtitles, definitely watch it. I personally watch it in English dubbed just because it's a little bit easier for me when it's late at night and I'm very tired. But I don't normally watch them. I usually watch it in the original language. But if you are going to watch it, let me know of your opinion, because I'm genuinely curious to know if you also thought it was disturbing on so many levels, because I thought it was. But besides that, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you very much for watching. If you wouldn't mind commenting and liking and subscribing, that would be highly appreciative. But until then, I will see you in the next video. My name is Wonderboy. Peace out.